بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we are all here together and I can see a lot of familiar faces. That the reason why we're all here is because we all want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no other reason, or there should not be any other reason why we're sitting here in the house of Allah, where Allah has invited us together to sit together so that we can prepare ourselves for the month of Ramadan. Not only that, we're here to please Allah because this is our purpose of life. Whatever we can, however we can, whenever there's an opportunity to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala where we can get as much reward as possible, we should take it before shaitan comes and changes our mind. That's why before we even do something, whenever we hear a good news, wherever there's an opportunity of doing something good, we should always say inshallah. We should always say inshallah, if Allah wills. Because we can make many plans and we can have so many wishes, but if Allah does not will it for us, then it would never happen. Okay? So we want Allah to, first of all, we have to make our intention clear, sincere, that we want to please Him. Yeah? And then afterwards, when Allah gives us the tawfiq, the ability, then we can do good. Because even to do good, we need ability from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need the blessing, we need the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be upon us so that we can be able to do something. Okay? But before we start talking about the month of Ramadan, we have to understand that this month, which is going, only less than a week left, the month of Sha'ban, and we tend to forget that we think the month of Ramadan is the only blessed month. This is a tragedy. This is unfortunate that we don't understand that there are other months in which Allah has blessed things as well, especially the month of Sha'ban and the month of Rajab, the 2 months before Ramadan. And that is why it's mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, روي عن أسامة بن زيد قلت يا رسول الله, is narrated by Usama bin Zayd. He said to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, O the Prophet of Allah, لم أراك تصوم شهرا من الشهور ما تصوم من شعبان, that I do not see you fast in any other month than this month, the month of Sha'ban, meaning that he used to fast a lot in this month. So he asked, what's the reason? So the Prophet ﷺ said, قال ذلك شهر يغفل الناس عنه بين رجب ورمضان, because this is a month in which a lot of people, he didn't say less, he said a lot of people neglect this month. They are lazy, they are careless, they are neglectful of this month that's going. Only 1 week left. So before he even answers the question why he's fasting, he's warning us that what would the attitude be of the Muslims in this month? That we will be lazy, we will be careless. Because we understand being lazy and careless itself is a very big sin. It's almost like a disease. It's like cancer. Just like cancer destroys the physical body, similarly, ghafla, laziness, carelessness, heedless, this is like a disease that will destroy your whole spirituality, whole mentality, and the whole being of who you are. It will destroy your soul. And why I say this is because Allah warns us in the Quran that Allah has prepared Jahannam for a lot of people and jinns. Allah has prepared Jahannam for a lot of people and jinns, those who have hearts, but they don't understand, they don't feel. They have hearts, but they have no feeling, they have no emotions. Okay, it's too hard. They have eyes, but they can't see. They have ears, but they can't hear. these people are lazy people. These people are lazy people. But before he says who are these people, okay, he mentions that these people are like animals. These people are like animals, but in fact, balhum adall. In fact, they are worse than animals, and they are the lazy people. So this is a very big warning to Allah, from Allah to us, that laziness, it will destroy you. That you may think that your body is working functionally, your eyes, you got sight, mashallah, you have ears, which Allah is the one who's given us. But yet when it comes to the truth, when it comes to listening to the words of Allah, the wisdom, the Quran, the hadith, the goodness about Islam, we don't want to see it. When it comes to listening, we don't want to hear it. When it comes to feeling it, we don't want to feel it. And this is a problem with the society nowadays. Why? Is because we are not exposed to Islam. We are not exposed to Islam as much as we meant to have. Why I say that? Because we are not constantly listening about Allah. We are constantly not looking at people where they were worshipping, especially in the mosque. The mosques are empty normally, except for Jum'ah. That we don't see people actually praying and reading Quran and doing all these acts of worship. Then how is it supposed to motivate us to go and be in these places around good people, so that in somehow that they can influence me to do something good? That is why we see that all the time, outside there, we're always exposed to non-Islamic stuff. And the more we're exposed to it, it becomes a norm. Therefore, we can't differentiate between what's right, what's wrong, what's haram, what's halal. We forget. Because it's become a norm, because it's become so used to it, casually, we start thinking, because everyone else is doing, I'm going to do it as well. And this is something that we have to really be alert. And this is the month that is coming. We will talk about that, the month, how Allah describes about Ramadan in the Quran. But before we go to that, let me make it clear about this month. The hadith is not finished. Then he goes, هو شهر ترفع فيه الأعمال إلى رب العالمين فأحب أن يرفع عملي وأنا صائم. So he goes, this month, meaning the month of Sha'ban, it is a month in which actions are taken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Rabbul Alameen, the word here does not, he didn't say Allah. In the hadith itself, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't say Allah, it's raised to Allah. He says it's raised to ila Rabbil Alameen, the Lord, the Master of the universe, of every species, every creation. So Allah is reminding us again who is Allah. Not by His name, by His relationship. By His relationship with us. That we are His slave. If He's our master, we are His slave. And that is the best label, the best title that you can ever get. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he was the best servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before Abduhu wa Rasuluh. Abd comes before the Rasul. He is the best slave, then he is the best messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the best title that we can get. That is what Allah is reminding us, that He is our master, we are His slave. Then build this relationship. As a slave, our duty is to respond to the master. If a master is telling us something, we have to respond to it. Otherwise, we're not fulfilling the purpose. So then the Prophet ﷺ says that فَأُحِبُّ, therefore I want, I wish, I love that when my actions are raised to Allah, that I want to be in the state of fasting. That I want to be in the state of fasting. And this is the Prophet ﷺ we're talking about, who is free from sins, free from mistakes. But when his record, his actions, when he's recorded and taken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he wants to be in the state of fast. But what about us? We are sinful, we have so many sins. But this is a lesson for us, that we prepare ourselves before the month of Ramadan. We're meant to start fasting in this month of Sha'ban. Obviously, unfortunately, it's only a week left. But we should have trained ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, that what is the effect of fasting. And we'll come to that later on, how Allah tells us what is the purpose of fasting. Because we have to understand there's a difference. There is a purpose of fasting and there's a purpose of Ramadan. There's a purpose of fasting and there's a purpose of Ramadan. Allah explains this in the Quran. So this month, as we know, is almost over. But yet we still have time. We still, alhamdulillah, we still got 1 week. Okay? Less than a week. That is why we have to always, ask Allah to keep us alive. وَبَلِّغْنَا Ramadan. Yes? This is a dua we always read. Oh Allah, keep me alive so that I can find Ramadan, because Ramadan is a gift. It's a blessing. How is a gift? How is a blessing? We'll come to that in a bit. So therefore we cannot be lazy in this month. Why? The mentality is behind this. Why we're lazy is we think, oh, hold on a second, Ramadan is coming, it's over, Ramadan is coming, is the next month. I'm going to do a lot in Ramadan. I'm going to fast, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do so much of ibadah, so much of worship. Then why I should relax then? Because remember, Shaitan is still with us. He's not locked up yet. He's still with us. So he thinks, or he comes and reminds us that, you'll be working so hard in month of Ramadan, just relax now. Whatever series and movies that you want to watch all of them now before Ramadan, then stop. Or whatever, you want to go out and you want to eat whatever you want, and you go, meet all your friends and whatever, that we spend our time with games and anything. We have to make sure that before Ramadan comes, we delete our apps, we delete our games, we turn off our TV, anything that will distract us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've got to stop it now. Because it's going to be impossible that the night before Ramadan or the day before Ramadan, you're doing all this stuff. As soon as Ramadan comes, you're going to become like an angel. It does not work like that. We will not be able to change in a few hours or one day. It takes time and time and time, constant. We can never guarantee that I've got Iman in my heart. That this Iman that I have, that I can say my kalima before I die, we do not have that guarantee. Iman is a constant building, it's a constant effort, constant work. We have to do as much work as possible towards our Iman. We have to let it increase, we have to let it build. Yeah. The person who thinks that he's got Iman and he relaxes back, that person, by saying that, by having that mindset in his head, he's done the most worst thing. That shows arrogance. That shows arrogance. Remember, humbleness is the most important thing. Allah does not want to show, He doesn't want us to show our arrogance to Him. He deserves to have pride. He deserves to have pride. We are His servant. There shouldn't be even single atom of pride in ourselves. And we know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that whoever has a single atom of pride in their heart, they will not enter Jannah. Because it's a contradiction of Iman. It's a complete opposite. And two different contradictions cannot fit together in one place. Either you have Iman or you have something else. You can't have both. You can't have pride and Iman at the same time. This is a contradiction. But this is something that we face a lot. Every one of us, we have this ego. We think that we know it all. We have this ego, this pride that I know everything. That who are you to tell me? We have this mentality, and this is a sickness that is facing in society now. It doesn't matter, as long as the person is telling me about Allah and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm meant to listen to it. Even if I know it, it's a reminder for me. I shouldn't say, I already know this, don't tell me, you don't have to tell me. Of course they have to tell us. It's not because we don't know it, it's because we need a reminder. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't mention something once and then He stops. The word taqwa, اتق الله لعلكم تتقون لعلهم يتقون اتقوا الله يا أيها الذين اتقوا. Taqwa comes over 200 times in the Quran. Why? It is because we always fail to have this taqwa. Now, a lot of us will misunderstand what taqwa means, but inshallah we will come to what taqwa means. Okay. So let us inshallah really think that we still got a week left till Ramadan. Let me start, thinking preparation. That physically I have to make a plan. Don't think I've got all this plan in my head. You will remember it. Because we are people who forget. And this is how Allah has created us. So we can't depend everything on our mind to remember everything. Definitely we will forget. Therefore we have to make a plan. A physical plan that is in front of us on our wall that we can see every day. That this is my plan, this is how much Quran I'm going to read, this is how much tasbih, this is how much I'm going to go to the mosque, this is what I'm going to, everything has to be, I will mention some of the things that we can do to occupy our time in the month of Ramadan. So we can make a plan. And the most important thing is that we need a partner. We need a buddy that who can help us. That we compete with one another. That we compete with one another when it comes to the month of Ramadan. When it comes to seeking Allah's pleasure, we've got to have a partner that pushes us, that motivates us, inspires us. Because we as being a human being by ourselves, shaitan has more effect on us when we're by ourselves. It's only when someone else is in the room with us, or with us, they will, if we fall behind, if we start becoming a bit lazy, the other person will remind us, no, we can't do this. They inspire you. So vice versa as well. It's very common as well, especially when it comes to, for example, if we make plan to lose weight, go to the gym. Yeah, if you by yourself, you might do 1 or 2 days, 1 week, then the motivation goes. But if you have a buddy who working out together, they inspire you. But if you're falling behind, let's do one more lap. If it's jogging, let's do one more lap. No, 2 more laps. It's a motivation. So there's the same mentality that we have to have. Because Allah says in the Quran, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ, that if you were to ever compete in something, to compete for something, then you should compete for Jannah. You should run towards Allah. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ, run to Allah. Okay? And فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ, always compete with one another in goodness. Not because you want to be better than them, not to show pride that I'm better than you. No, it's to motivate each other that we both are doing for the sake of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah, that if I fall behind, then you can help me. So you're competing rather with yourself. That if today if I'm doing less worship today, then tomorrow I want to do more. So you're competing with yourself. And that's why Ramadan, if you really understand what Ramadan is and how Allah so perfectly placed everything in place, and Ramadan is like a training program for us, really, if you think about it. And I will explain how it is, how Allah put a training program for us, for a whole month in which He's removed all the obstacles for us to really focus and go back to the Quran. Okay, inshallah. So let me start with the verse, because obviously we have to understand that the best advice, the best speech is the speech of Allah. Without any doubt. The best speech is Allah's speech. Okay, and therefore, if you want to know what is Ramadan, let us go to the Quran. Let us go to the speech of Allah. Let Him explain to us what is Ramadan. If you were to ask, now how many times do you think Ramadan is mentioned in the Quran? A lot of us might say, I've asked a lot of my students, some people said 200 times, 100 times, 50, 10. Ramadan is mentioned only once. Ramadan is only mentioned once in the Quran. In Surah Baqarah, verse number 185. But he talks about fasting before the verse and after the verse, but he talks about something else when it comes to the word Ramadan. So let me start off in saying the Surah Baqarah, verse number 183. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. And we hear this over and over again in the Quran, in the month of Ramadan. Okay? The translation of this verse is, O you who believed, fasting has been mandatory upon you like it was mandatory upon the people before you, so that you may get taqwa. So that you may get taqwa. But before I go on to explain this verse, we have to actually, to appreciate the Quran. The Quran, I can't begin where to start what the Quran is, if you really understand. But inshallah we'll get some kind of idea. But before we start reading the Quran, Surah Baqarah, it's a very long surah. But this is 183 verse, I'm starting off. But there's something talking before these verses. So what is the whole topic before this verse? So Surah Baqarah, we understand, is a Madani surah. And this surah, Allah is talking about Bani Israel, the people of Israel. Okay? And nowadays in the Quran is mentioned as the people of the book. So i.e. the Jews and the Christians, of the people of the true people of the book. Not nowadays Christians and Jews, but the true people of the book. The people who followed Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam and so forth. So the Bani Israel. And obviously let's just quickly go for a quick history lesson. Okay? We understand Ibrahim alayhi salam had two sons, Ismail alayhi salam and Ishaq alayhi salam. Okay? And Ismail alayhi salam was his first son. We know that. And Ishaq alayhi salam was his second son. Then Ishaq alayhi salam had a son also who was also a prophet, Yaqub alayhi salam. His other name was Israel. Yaqub alayhi salam's other name was Israel. He had 12 sons. He had 12 sons. So therefore they were known as Banu Israel, the sons of Israel. And we know also one of the sons was Yusuf alayhi salam, and he was also a prophet. But if you look at the lineage of Ismail and Ishaq alayhi salam, all the prophets from Ishaq alayhi salam, all the prophets that came from his lineage, all the prophets came from his lineage. So if you're talking about Musa alayhi salam, Harun alayhi salam, Zakaria alayhi salam, Isa, Yahya alayhi salam, all these prophets were from the tribe of Banu Israel. So from Ismail there was no prophets. So his sons, there was no prophet. Until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay, until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was from the lineage of Ismail alayhi salam. And if you look at the Quran in this surah, the first part of Surah Baqarah, Allah reminds us that Ibrahim alayhi salam, he made a dua to Allah about, oh Allah, make from my dhurriya, from my offspring. At that time he made the dua with who? Ismail alayhi salam, because they built the Kaaba and they made this dua together that Allah make a nation, make one nation from my ummah, from my offspring, from my dhurriya, meaning Ismail alayhi salam's lineage, that there will be a prophet, a Rasul, that will recite the Quran, the verses of Allah, and therefore they will become united in the best nation. And this is the dua that Allah preserved when He went up to Allah and came down, revealed back in the Quran to us as well, a reminder that the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ is a continuous legacy of who? Ibrahim ﷺ. It's a continuous legacy. If you think about it, all 5 pillars of Islam is somehow linked to who? Ibrahim ﷺ. Somehow linked to Ibrahim ﷺ. But the thing is, Banu Israel, at that time, before our Prophet, at that time, they were the best nation. They were the best nation, and Allah favored them with many things. Okay, as all of these are mentioned, but they also committed crimes. And Allah always also mentions their crimes, what they did. Okay, and because of the foolishness and stuff, Allah mentions all of this in Surah Baqarah. Okay, Allah mentions all this in Surah Baqarah, the first one. So when the Prophet ﷺ came, remember, the people of the book, the Ahl Kitab, they did not accept, because they were so used to that whenever a prophet died, another prophet came. Whenever a prophet died, another prophet came. So they were so used to this. They were so used to that. If one dies, then another prophet will come. So after Isa alayhi salam, it was 600 years a prophet did not come. Almost 600 years a prophet didn't come until our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But obviously Prophet ﷺ was from the lineage of Ismail, therefore they did not accept the Prophet as our Prophet ﷺ as a prophet. Because it was not from the lineage of Ismail alayhi. That is why they did not accept him as a prophet. So because they were people of the book at the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Medina and so forth. And when they used to hear the things that he used to say, they used to go to their leaders, their rabbis, and say, in our books, in our true books, it talks about him. Isn't he a prophet? But they say, shh, speak quiet. So they themselves knew the truth about Prophet ﷺ, but they did not accept it. But Allah reveals all their tricks and all their evil acts and everything. Allah exposes them in the Quran. And this is where the Baqarah, the first part before this. So I'm trying to link this up now. So Allah explains all this stuff. So then, what happens is, Allah mentions that this verse here actually is not talking about Ramadan. This verse that I just read is actually not talking about Ramadan. It's actually talking about that before Ramadan was made compulsory, there was a fast that was compulsory but not in Ramadan. It was the same as the Ahl Kitab, the same as the Israelites. So their fasting and the Muslims fasting was same. Also, before Mecca was a Qibla, the Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabas, they used to pray towards Masjid Aqsa. So that was the Qibla of the Ahl Kitab as well, the Israelites. So can you see the similarity that the fast was the same as the Israelites, the Qibla was the same as the Israelites, and so forth. So they was very similar in what we're doing. But essentially, the time came when Allah said, we have to be distinctive. You have to separate from them completely so that Islam is clear. So the complete religion, the complete Islam is clear. And how does that happen? Is we know that the fast that the Bani Israel used to fast is ayyaman ma'dudat. But in the next verse it says ayyaman ma'dudat. They used to be less than 10 days. Their fast used to be before less than 10 days. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ. Whoever was ill, remember I'm still talking about the fast that was before Ramadan. The fast that was compulsory before Ramadan. Okay? So whoever amongst you were sick, ill, or traveling, فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Therefore you don't have to fast, and you can fast afterwards. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. And therefore, after that, if you have the ability to feed the poor, then you can feed the poor. فَمَنْ تَتَوْعَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. And whoever wants to exceed in that, then for them they can do that. Meaning that they can do both. They can feed more than one person, or they can also fast. But fasting is better for you. وَأَنْ تَسُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Fasting is better for you, إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, if you know better. So from this we understand, when fasting was compulsory before the Ramadan, that if they were ill or if they were travelers, they had the option either to fast or to feed someone. So it was easier. It was easier. Before the month of Ramadan, the fasting was more easier. So when Ramadan came, when Ramadan was compulsory, so we diverted from them, from the Ahl Kitab, from the Israelites, we diverted from them. Also the Qibla diverted from them towards Masjid al-Haram. Okay, so therefore it was, before Masjid al-Aqsa was like the capital. It was like the capital of the Israelites. But therefore Allah said, turn your face towards Masjid al-Haram, that is your Qibla now. So therefore the capital has changed. The capital has changed. Your fasting now will also be changed from the same less than 10 days which they had. Now it's been changed to one whole month of Ramadan. Okay? But we have to understand in the next verse, that's where the month of Ramadan comes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. The month of Ramadan is in which the Quran was revealed. So the first, this is the place where Allah uses the word Ramadan. But does He talk about fasting here? What's the thing that He talks about? Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The month of Ramadan is in which the Quran was revealed. So therefore, we would think that if Allah is talking about Ramadan, Allah is going to talk about fasting. But He doesn't talk about fasting. What does He talk about? Quran. So now the subject is changing now. The subject is changed. Now He mentions three things about Quran. The subject is completely changed now. In the same verse, He's not talking about fasting in the month of Ramadan. He's talking about the Quran, and He says three things about the Quran. Hudan linnas. That the Quran is a guidance for the whole of humanity. The whole of humanity. We know that the mention of Quran is mentioned in other surahs, in other verses, where Allah describes the Quran to be guidance for different people and different ways of expressing what the Quran is. But here specifically, why does Allah say Hudan linnas? is because the Israelites, they thought the Torah was only for them. They thought Torah was only for them, specifically for them. But now the Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan. We know in Laylatul Qadr, the Quran was revealed in Laylatul Qadr, and because of the blessing of this revelation, of this message, of this Quran, Allah blessed the whole month. Because of one night, Allah blessed the whole month. Allah blessed the whole month. So now the book is changed. So this book is not a book, it's a constitution. Is it? Just like now you got a new capital, we need a new constitution. Meaning new laws, new sharia. Because we can't follow the same sharia as the people of the book, of the Israelites. Because they thought that was only specifically for them. But now, when Allah revealed the Quran saying, no, this is hudan lin-nas. This is not just a book of guidance for Muslims. It's for the whole of humanity. It doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what gender you are, doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter what language you speak. Even for you, Ahl Kitab, it's time for you to change to this book. You've got to change everything towards this book. This book is everything. This is your guidance. Hudan lin-nas. So that's the first thing mentioned about the Quran, Hudan lin-nas. Then he says, وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى. That it's not just the guidance, but it's also an evidence of guidance. It's a clear proof of guidance. In itself, it's a clear proof of guidance. And wal-furqan. And it's a criterion, it's a separation between truth and falsehood. It's a separation between truth and falsehood. Now what we have to understand here, okay, when we talked about, before we go on about where Allah then talks about fasting afterwards. But so far, when he talked about Ramadan, he talked about, he's focusing us on the Quran. So Ramadan is the month of Quran. The reason why he made fasting in this month compulsory is to get taqwa. Before I explain, obviously from the verse, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. From the first verse I read, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So why do we fast? Is to get taqwa. The purpose of fasting is to get taqwa. Now, taqwa, a lot of us when reading translation, we say that taqwa is the fear of Allah. But that actually is not clear what it means by fear of Allah. Because if I were to ask everyone, do we all fear Allah? Everyone will say yes. But then why is it that we commit sins? Why do we disobey Allah? If we feared Him, then we would not disobey Him. So the meaning of taqwa that actually comes from the root word al-wiqaya. Al-wiqaya means to protect yourself. Al-wiqaya means to protect yourself. So in another sense, it's the consequences and the precautions that you take because of fear. It's the precautions and the consequences that you take, the measures that you take because you are feared. That is what taqwa is. You're protecting yourself from the wrath of Allah, from the anger of Allah. You're protecting yourself from the punishment of Allah. For example, if you had a fear that thieves will come to your house and rob your house, okay? And you said, yeah, I fear thieves will come and rob my house, but then you don't do nothing. Is that really fear? No, that's not fear. Fear is when you start locking your doors, and you're bolting your doors and windows and sealing everything. You're taking the precautions. Because of this fear, you're taking these precautions so that the thieves don't come. The precautions that you've taken because of fear, that is what taqwa is. That is what taqwa is. And the best example Umar bin al-Khattab, he gave as well. That someone asked him, what is taqwa? He goes, imagine you're walking on a path where there's thorns. Like, roses, you have thorns. You're walking on a path and there's thorns everywhere. You know that you have to go past this path. But before you take even a step to go past this path, what would you do? You would make sure you gather your clothes. Every step you take will be so careful that the thorn does not catch your clothes so it doesn't tear, nor does it touch your skin so you might bleed. So therefore he's taking the precautions, so therefore he's protecting his clothes and his body from the thorn which is harmful, because he feared that it will harm him. And that is what taqwa is. So this path that this journey that we're in, we're going towards Allah. We're in a journey, we are travelers, we are traveling towards Allah. Whether we like it or not, we're all travelers. Yeah? We're all in this journey together, and we're moving. Every second and second, we are going closer to Allah. That's why Allah says, Ya ayyuhal insanu, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. The old people, that you are getting ever so closer and closer to Allah. You will come and meet Him. There's no doubt about that. Whether we believe Him or not, we are getting closer to Allah. Every second we're moving. So therefore, these thorns will have different faces, different images, different ideas, different ways. So we have to protect ourselves. This is what taqwa is. We've got to protect ourselves, making sure that we do not harm ourselves spiritually, that we do not make Allah angry, we do not make ourselves be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what the meaning of taqwa. So the purpose of fasting is to get taqwa. Now because Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran, so the purpose of Ramadan is that it's a month in which the Quran was revealed. Meaning that Allah is reminding us about the power, the miraculous message of Quran, that it's so powerful that when it was revealed in the Laylatul Qadr, it transformed the face of humanity. It changed the face of humanity because of this Quran. We are Muslims because of this Quran. We are Muslims because of this Quran. Islam came to every corner of the world because of this Quran. So the sheer power of the Quran, the miraculous Quran, that is why this whole month is blessed. But the question is that the reason why Allah made fasting compulsory in this month, if you think about it, is when Musa alayhi salam, when he went to get revelation from Allah, what did Allah tell him to do? Fast. Allah told him to fast 30 days. But obviously, because of him cleaning his mouth, Allah extended another 10 days. 40 days he fasted. Similarly to our Prophet ﷺ, that before he got revelation in Cave Hira, at the age of 40, prior to that, 2 years prior to, every day, regularly he used to go up there to Cave Hira, and he used to meditate. He used to find he would always ponder and reflect, trying to find Allah, the truth, trying to find the meaning, purpose of life. So he protected himself from the corruption of society. So therefore, we understand in the olden days the definition of fasting, the word sawm. If you look in the Quran, in the Bani Israel or time of Musa alayhi salam, when they used to fast, they also used to not talk. They also used to not talk. So if they talked while they were fasting, the fast broke. Okay? But obviously for us it's not like this. It's different. Okay? And also we understand the literal meaning of Sama Yasumu Siyamu Saw. It means to abstain yourself from temptations. From food, eating, drinking, and temptation. We've got to abstain ourselves from that. We've got to stop and stop ourselves from these things. But also we got to, when we know from many hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that fasting is not just by the stomach and the throat, it's also fasting with the eyes and the ears and the hands and the legs. Meaning what? We've got to stop ourselves from sins. We've got to stop ourselves from disobeying Allah. But how is it possible? How is it possible that in one state that you're obeying Allah, you're worshipping Allah with your fasting, but at the same time you are committing a sin, a major sin or a sin, or you're disobeying Allah? How can you obey and disobey at one point? We can't do that. It's a contradiction. The mind does not set. Rationally, that does not make sense. So when we're fasting, we can't commit sins. So when we're fasting, we shouldn't be listening to music, we shouldn't be watching TV, movies and so forth. Because it does not make sense that we are fasting, saying, oh Allah, I'm fasting for you, but I'm going to disobey you in something else. It does not make sense that we worship Allah at one point and then disobey Him at the same time. That does not make sense. Another thing that you have to remember is the Quran itself. Because now we understand that the reason why Ramadan was made blessed is because of this Quran. But when Allah said وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى, that is a proof of evidence. What that is trying to say is, for example, all the prophets, they had message. They had the message of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. You follow your prophet, you have these commandments, you believe the day of judgment, and so forth. And you worship Allah. That's the message. Also, they had miracles. They had miracles which why to make their belief strong, to make the iman strong, or to prove that they are the God, that they are the prophets of Allah. Okay? They are the prophets of Allah. This is the reason why they were given miracles. These are the reason why they were given miracles. Okay? But now, when we, for example, when we hear the miracles of, for example, Musa alayhi salam, his staff became a snake. Yes? Or when we hear the Red Sea was parted and they walked through the sea, Red Sea. For us, we might get, wow, it's an amazing story. That's all. Because we did not see the miracle. We did not see the miracle. Because the message is for the ears and the miracle is for the eyes. The miracle is for the eyes. But we were not there to witness it with our eyes. We just heard it from the Quran and so forth, that they were like this. But subhanallah, look at the miracle that the Prophet ﷺ got. He got many miracles, but the best miracle is the Quran itself. So the Quran itself is not just a message, it's a miracle combined together as one. It's a miracle and a message combined together as one. That the miracle, the Quran itself, it's a miracle, it's a living miracle that we are actually witnessing in front of us. And how? Is because we understand that the Quran itself is evidence. If you look at the Quran, the language of the Quran, in the word Allah, in the way that Allah uses the wording, the phrasing, the meaning, the link between each verse, each surah, everything, it is so powerful, it's so amazing that it is unhumanly impossible. That's what miracle means, isn't it? Miracle means that it's not humanly possible to be produced. So the Quran itself, the language of the Quran itself, even non-Muslims have never ever, they've also claimed that this is not a human's word. No, this is non-Muslim. I'm talking about non-Muslims, forget Muslims. But non-Muslims who are Arabs, who studied the Quran, no one has ever claimed that this is the words of human beings. This is something more unique, so profound. And the question is, we hear this, and we know this. But why is it, if the Quran was so powerful that changed the whole face of humanity, then does the Quran not have power to change me? Of course it does. But we got to let it change us. We got to engage with the Quran. We got to dive deep inside the Quran, in the tafsir, in the words, in the phrasing, not just the meaning. We got to go deep inside and really study it. If you really study it with the open heart, that I want to get guided from this Quran, and Allah will guide us. But the will has to be there. We always hear the Quran when it comes to Taraweeh. We always try to go to the mosque where the best recitation, yes? We so focus on the voice of the reciter, but we don't ponder over the meaning of what the Quran has been telling us. Just like now, for example, I'm giving a talk, we're all listening because we understand the language. But when we said the Quran is the best speech, when we stand for Taraweeh and the Imam is reading the Quran, who's giving us a lecture? Allah. Allah is giving us a lecture. Allah is giving us a talk. That is how the Sahabas, when they were praying behind one another and they used to recite the Quran, just the way now we are listening attentively, that's the way they used to listen. This is the way they said, this is the way. So Allah's words was reflecting on them. They were understanding meaning. Yes, unfortunately we don't understand the language, but it does not mean that we don't start. It does not mean that, just because I don't know it, therefore it's not for me. No, that's not the way we have to think. We can never doubt the Quran. We never doubt that it's a miracle. It's so powerful that it can transform me, it can change me internally, and really change my mindset and everything. Because the Quran, not only does it gives you advice, He also consults with us. For example, if we got a medical problem, where do we go to the best? We go to medical experts for their advice. If you have a financial problem, we go to financial advice. If there's a legal problem, we go to legal advice. Therefore, we go to the best advisors. But then why is it, when Allah has given us the best title, the best slave to Allah, when Allah has the best advice, then why are we not running to the best advice of Allah? So that I can become a better Muslim, the best I can. Because Allah says in the Quran that He has created life and death. He has created life and death to see who is the best in action. Who is the best in action. So we got to try to be the best by using the Quran, by Allah's advice. Because there's no other advice better than Allah's advice. And not only that, sometimes what happens is we got a problem. We face a problem, but to lessen the problem on our shoulders, what do? We go to someone, a friend. He might not give you advice, but we still tell him our problem. Why? Why do we tell him? It's because at least it's getting the burden is becoming less by the other person listening. He might not give you advice, but the least he can do is what? Listen. Is listen and say, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. That word is enough to console with him. Whatever problem is, for that moment, to console with him is enough. And don't worry about it, everything's going to be okay. Just bear with it. But the subhanAllah, the Quran is so powerful, it does both together. It gives us advice, its best advice, also console with us. If only if you truly go to Allah in that mentality, in that way. And I've really seen the effect of the Quran myself, because I've done this experiment with most of my students. I've told them that whatever we're talking about, or whatever we're facing in life, whatever the situation it is, you open any page of the Quran and you start reading the translation, you will see somewhere down the line Allah is talking about you. Allah is talking about you. Any page of the Quran you open, Allah is talking about you. And I've done that in a class where I had 20 students. 20 of them opened the Quran, and everyone said yes.
MashaAllah.
Everyone said yes. And this is the sheer power of the Quran, that it can really change you. It can really change you. So the question is now, we got to always, this is the month for Quran. This is the month of Quran where we reconnect with Allah through the Quran. We reconnect ourselves with Allah through the Quran. That somewhere down the line, any verse you'll be reading, and there'll be a verse in the Quran where it will hit you so hard, it will really open your eyes, your mind, your heart, and everything, that verse becomes your personal miracle. That verse becomes your personal miracle. Because we believe that the Quran is a living miracle. So we want that effect that the Quran really changes me. And this is the month. This is the month where we relate with the Quran. Now, there's so many things we can talk about the Quran. Okay? But the main thing, this was the second point about the Quran. So it's a guidance for the whole of humanity. It is a proof itself for guidance. The third one is Furqan. It's a criterion, it's a separation, a separator between the truth and the falsehood. Al-Furqan means the thing that distinguishes between the truth and false. So anything besides the Quran is false. Anything besides Islam is false. So the Quran is the truth, because Allah says Furqan. This is not my words. This is the words of Allah. It's Furqan. The Quran, the name for Quran is Al-Furqan. So therefore, why are we getting guidance? Why are we using the Quran as a guidance and as evidence? It's so that we can be able to decide based on it. We can make choices based on it. We can choose the halal and reject the haram. So therefore, everything becomes more clear what is halal and what is haram. So everything that you do and say pleases Allah, because you're following the halal. So every aspect of your life becomes a worship of Allah. And you're staying away from haram because you believe that the Quran is the measurement. The Quran is the criterion. It's the measure in which you measure every decision in life, or halal and haram. Because we have to always make decisions in life, isn't it? as we're growing up as a child, the parents have to make decisions for the children, for which school to go. When you go older, we decide for ourselves which college, which university, which degree, which subject, who to get married to, what job shall I get, is it halal, is it haram, or I've got this personal problem, I've got this financial problem. In every aspect of life, we have to make a decision. But how do we know what is the best decision? Allah saying, use the Quran as a criterion. Use the Quran as a criterion to tell between the haqq and the batil, the truth and falsehood. Because where there is truth, there will always be falsehood. Where there is truth, there will always going to be batil. And we know that Shaitan is our enemy. He's declared his enmity with us. Shaitan is our enemy. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. He's a clear enemy for us. Okay? So this month of Ramadan, okay, so that we don't see the way Allah has prepared this month, this training program for us. That what did He do? He locked up Shaitan. He locks up Shaitan. So we can't use that excuse. Can we say that we influenced by Shaitan in this month, in the month of Ramadan? We can't. We can't use that because Shaitan is locked up. Okay. Not only that, Allah has made fasting compulsory. Why? It's because if you look at the whole mechanism of fasting, how does it give me taqwa? The purpose of fasting is taqwa. How? Because, for example, when you're fasting, after a couple of hours, what happens? Your throat starts drying up, yeah?
Yes.
And you start feeling thirsty. So your body tells your mind, I need a drink. I need to quench my thirst. Okay? But what happens is the heart, the iman that is in your heart, the taqwa, the consciousness that comes straight away because you're fasting. You say, no, wait till Maghrib.
Yes.
So the heart is telling you, wait till Maghrib. Not now. So you see that the body is fighting with your heart, with your iman, with your taqwa. So that because of this consciousness coming into your mind, this is what taqwa is. So after a couple of hours, what happens? Your stomach starts making noise. You're hungry. So your stomach's telling your brain, it's time to eat now, I need food. So therefore the heart goes, no, wait till Maghrib. This is your fasting. For who? For Allah. So the whole mechanism is working now. So the consciousness of Allah is coming to your mind, so you're mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore you're not doing what you shouldn't be doing. You're not eating and you're not drinking and you're not following your temptations. Because it's coming to your mind. For example, for those little kids who probably just turned 12 years old or something like that, where they're starting to fast. Yes, they're starting to fast and they keep their first fast. They keep looking at the time, how many hours left. So they will go to the kitchen, just sit there. They'll go to the kitchen and just sit there and just look at the food.
Yes.
They will probably, even if they see chocolate, they'll get the chocolate in the hand. But they'll put it back. They won't eat it, they will put it back. Why? Because they know they can't do that. So the consciousness of Allah is coming. So fasting, what does it do? It gives us this taqwa. And taqwa is so important. That's why Allah says it in the Quran how many times? Over 200 times. Why? Because this is something that we'll always fail. Taqwa is something that we'll always fail. But when it comes to Ramadan, fasting Allah mentions once. But taqwa He mentions over 200 times in the Quran. Why? Because when it comes to Ramadan, if you even hear the word Ramadan, what's the first thing that comes to our head? Fasting. The first thing that comes to our head is fasting. So everyone agrees, no one disagrees that if they're at the right age, they will say, I'm going to fast all my prayers. Okay, or I'm going to fast the 30 days of Ramadan. There's no argument about that. Because that's the first thing they think, the whole purpose of Ramadan is fasting. But that's not the purpose. The purpose of fasting is, the purpose of Ramadan is because of the Quran. That Allah blessed this month. But He made it mandatory on us so that we fast, so that we can not focus on our physical needs and focus on our spiritual needs. Because we have needs, just like physical body, it has its needs. We have to eat and we have to drink, we have to sleep, to go to the toilet. Similarly, we have spiritual needs. And the spiritual needs is what? Spiritual needs is getting this taqwa and being obedient to Allah and worshipping Allah. This is what spiritual needs is. So it says, the more you stay away from your physical needs, the more you will fulfill your spiritual needs. So that is why Allah has made fasting mandatory in this month of Ramadan. So you don't have to worry about eating and drinking and your temptation. I've taken this away from you. These obstacles, I've locked up shaitan. I've taken away these physical needs away from you. Now you focus. Focus in worship. Focus with Allah. Through what? Through the Quran. Through the Quran. That is why we have to focus through the Quran. The Quran, again, we have to understand that the Quran, when we listen to the Quran, who's talking to us? Allah. Allah is talking to us. But when the Quran is recited or there for us to understand and listen, Allah demands a response from us. Allah demands an effort. He doesn't mention it for the sake of it. All the information in the Quran is not just for the sake of it. So that, stories, okay, there were stories. No. It's for us to really benefit from it. It's for us to focus on the Quran. Okay? It's for us to focus on the Quran. So now let's go back to the verse where Allah talked about Furqan. Now He talks about fasting again. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Look at the wording of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's so powerful. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. That whoever witnesses this month, the month of Ramadan, whoever witnesses it. Allah doesn't say the word shahida, okay, is witness. Allah doesn't say whoever sights it, ra'a. He doesn't use the word ra'a, He uses the word shahida, whoever witnesses. And the only way you can witness it is if you see it with your eyes. Okay? So therefore you have to be alive. We have to be alive in the month of Ramadan. So that when we see the new moon of Ramadan, we have to fast. We have to fast. There's no question about that. But then Allah says in the next verse, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. That whoever is ill or on a travelers, for them, they can fast in some other days after Ramadan. So we heard the same thing before, isn't it? In the verse before, where there was an option. There was an option where you either, if you're a traveler or if you're ill, you can either fast or you can feed the poor. There was an option. So it was less. Plus, what we heard is أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ. That fasting before was only a few days, less than 10 days. But now Allah is saying, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. So Allah is saying now, it's no more few days now. It's what? Whole month. So it's increased. It's increased, yeah? From few days to whole month. Now He's saying if you're ill or if you're traveling, okay, you have to fast in some other days. So where's the other option of feeding the poor? It's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. Meaning that the option of the second option where you had a choice is gone away. So we have to fast. So if you're ill, obviously not permanent illness, but if you're ill or if you're traveling during the month of Ramadan, then you have to make up for the ones that you missed after Ramadan's gone. There's no other option. Like before there was option. So straight away what we're thinking now? We're thinking it was easier before, now it's harder. Isn't it? We're thinking it was easier before, which was abrogated, and now it's gone hard. So Allah knows that we will think like that. Allah knows we will think like that. So what did He say? يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah does not want hard from you. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ. Allah wants easy from you. He does not want hard from you. Because Allah already knows that what we're thinking. Allah already knows what we will be thinking. It's not harder, no, it's not. So Allah is saying Allah does not want. The translation that you normally find in the Quran is Allah wants ease for you. He does not want hard from you. And the question is, by saying Allah does not want ease for you, is enough. But why does it say Allah does not want hard from you as well? Because it's like saying the same thing twice. It's like saying the same thing twice. It's like, it's like a parent telling a child, do your homework. Telling the child, do your homework. I will help you. Okay? The child goes, no, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. So the parent goes, no, I'll help you. Therefore, he goes, go to do it, because eventually it'll become easy for you in the future. The homework that you're going to be doing, eventually it'll become easy for you. So the parent says, I don't want ease, I want ease for you. Okay? Then he says, I don't want hard from you. I don't want hard from you. Meaning that it's like a personal thing. It's like reassurance. It's like a comforting thing, consoling thing. So Allah is consoling with us. Allah saying Allah does not want ease. Allah wants ease for you. He does not want hard from us.